because we here in Canada hate you and hope for bad things for you because we hate you.
Sir, you're charged with especially aggravated kidnapping. You're also charged with aggravated assault, and you're charged with theft of a firearm worth less than $2,500.
You're talking about stuff that is not relevant.
Hello and welcome to the Court of Public Opinion. I am the Recovery Addict, and boy do I have a case for you today.
Why is the dog chewing on this guy?
I think they have got the wrong guy there.
Got the wrong guy, and the dog was biting him.
He roughing him up quite a bit. There's a lawsuit.
This is the next search on February 28, 2020, 7:44 p.m. How, does the FBI find people? And people is misspelled P-E-O-O-P-L-E.
I object.
Did the defendant find out how the FBI finds people in this case? Or she found out?
What more do we need to see?
All right, welcome back to the Court of Public Opinion. I am the Recovery Addict. Happy Wednesday afternoon. Big shout out to Vicky Gentry, who was first in chat today, this afternoon, with, sorry, I've got beverages everywhere. Okay, there we go. Vicky Gentry, Yahoo pre-portal arrival. You beat Greeners, congratulations. That's some work. It takes some work to do that. Congratulations. We're going to punish you, Vicky. I'm not sure if you knew this, but being first in chat actually comes with a prize. Congratulations, you're first. Yay! There's that part. You can party, and then there's also a punishment. And the punishment is we're sentencing you to internet ownership. You're responsible for everything IP-related worldwide until we go live again. So, Vicky, good luck. Good luck. Good riddance, I think, as well. You know, so I don't have to deal with it now, thankfully. Let's see. Tail light arrives Saturday. Must be coming from overseas. This is what I'm concerned about. Where's the Lexus factory? I literally bought it because it said OEM. OEM. I need it to be. I don't want like some Chinese sweatshops version of a Lexus taillight. I need the OEM model, but it is coming on Saturday. It's delayed, but I did get my spare headphones in case I ever. That's these ones here. These are dirt cheap. You can't read it. It says M6 in-ear sports headphones with memory wire. I got two pairs because together it was $25. So I love these because they're very lightweight, and I can wear them underneath my headphones that I'm wearing here. So if I'm ever listening to court, like I'm listening to Zoom court, which I'm not allowed to live stream to you, and I have to feedback what I hear, I can hear that and hear myself, and it all works out. But it's all good. Everything Tumblr says, oh, okay, welcome back. Can we please talk about the number of pieces found from the taillight due to the large pieces and the 46 additional ones? Your thoughts? Yes. And thank you, by the way. I'm sorry you had to super chat twice to get this finally coming up. Thanks for your support of the channel. It's muchly appreciated. Here's what here's what I'm thinking. First of all, I need to move this half and half delicious beverage. Stay. Okay. Here's what I'm thinking. Think in your head. For something to break, generally there has to be a force exerted on it that exceeds the capacity to flex, right? The item to flex. This plastic, this polycarbonate, has a little bit of flex, but not a lot. It's fairly rigid. For something to break in a lot of little pieces, you would think there would have to be multiple points of impact that are putting pressure on that cause the fractures to break in that way. It's not like the wave. How do you describe this? It's not like a wave goes through a pool with ice on the top and it just cracks all the way across, right? It's not just like crack, 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 crack. That's not how it works. Generally, there's going to be, imagine you have like a U-shaped piece and you step on it, it's going to give in one spot. And it might be a weak spot on the side. It might be a weak spot right in the middle, but it's going to crack in half. We didn't have that. We have a sort of an L-shaped taillight that disintegrated and then cracked in pieces. The disintegrating part is actually a concern for me. The smaller chunks are a bigger issue for me than the big chunks, because those small pieces had to have had additional pressure put on them, additional impact. It was, I just don't see it. I don't see it. Yeah, it's coming from overseas for sure. But they supposedly have like a local warehouse or something. Anyway, does it behave differently when it's frozen? I'm going to freeze mine. We'll find out. It's worth looking at the pieces they didn't find. They only found there were only a couple that were missing. Let's see. Is it possible that the initial collision with the car cracked it, and then when or if she hit JOK, it shattered? There's a possibility, Catsy, there. As a truck driver that picks up containers from the New Jersey, New York ports, I hope it isn't coming from China, because it might be a while. If it says Saturday, then maybe it's coming from within the U.S. already. I'll have to track it again. I'll have to check and see. Meanwhile, we're going to be going to court here in just a minute, so I'll let you see the fan instead of my office. A fairly soft body won't shatter polycarbonate plastic. She hit the car after John. Bravo chick. That would have been, if she hit both, the car and John, the car would have been after. How old was the vehicle? Maybe a little more brittle than newer lights. It was less than a year old. Had 12,500 miles on it. It was a shiny new car. The missing pieces are long shards that look to define an impact point. We need ARCA to talk to us about that impact point is what we need, and to explain why we would have lots of little pieces and why we would have some huge pieces, and how we'd have both with the same kind of collision. Haas Long Till Acquittal says, body collision is literally my job. Let me go test this now. Oh, well, that is awesome. Let us know what you come up with. Even though Lexus is Japan, but we know the deal with these labels on products. Just saying, I'm looking right now. That's it. I'm getting on Amazon. Oh, we got it from eBay. We got it from eBay. Sorry. Where's my eBay? Got a message. New message from the seller. Oh. Let's see. Order update. It's on its way, arriving by Saturday, May 17th. Track package. Shipment history. It started in New Jersey. Came from New Jersey. Burlington, New Jersey. And then it went to Philly, PA. Now it's in Washington, D.C. as of today at 12:07. It's spending lunch at the Capitol. I imagine when it arrives, it'll have a whole bunch of selfies of different sites it's seen. But I guess the guy's walking it here himself, is what it appears like. He's in no hurry. Let's see. Oh, I've got this other message. Holy cow, he wrote me a book. Greetings and thank you for your purchase. We are glad to inform you that your item has been shipped. Here is the tracking number. Big tracking number. Once your item arrives and you are very satisfied, a little presumptuous, do you think? Once your item arrives and you are very satisfied, please leave me a 5-star positive feedback and great comment. In the unlikely event you do have any problem, please contact us by replying this message. A picture is worth 1,000 words, so make sure to include a few photos or video that shows what's wrong. We will provide a solution as soon as possible. Do not return the item to the sending address on the parcel, please. If you want to return the item, please respond to this email and get a return address. We have special warehouse to handle return, which can make whole thing get done quickly. Okay, they have special warehouse. In the rare event that someone needs it, they have an entire warehouse dedicated to the rare event that someone might need to return something. Customer satisfaction is extremely important to us, and our ultimate goal is to satisfy every customer. Best wishes for you, sincerely. I kid you not. Seller. Best wishes for you, sincerely, seller. It's not seller's name, it's seller. Q&A. Question 1. What can I do if the machine damage on the shipping way? What can I do if the machine damage on the shipping way? Answer. No matter any problem with the machine, please contact us by eBay message with photos or videos. We will give you a satisfied solution after check it. Okay, straightforward. Question number 2. How can I do when the machine have quality problem? Answer. Taking a video to show your problem to us, please. We have a professional engineer to help you solve the problem. All right, so now with that out of the way, my confidence level has increased to a solid 4 out of 10 on this. So maybe his name is Seller. He capitalized it like it was. So sounds super sketchy. How many think that I've lost my money and that I will not get a taillight? Oh, man. We spent 150. Let's see what the total was here. Where's my order? All right. $157.54. Free 2 to 4 day delivery. It's the free 2 to 4 day delivery that didn't really happen, unfortunately. All right. eBay will back your purchase. Yeah, I'll be good. I'll be good. I am going to break it. So should I call them ahead of time and say my came in all these pieces, like somebody hit it with their elbow or something? We have a video of a little man in the corner with headphones karate chopping the taillight, sir. Yes. As a dealership, we order from eBay a lot. It's probably legit. All aftermarket parts are made by Tongyang. I'll let you guess where they come from. How many guesses do I get? Kaylee, welcome back. Stream hopped for the last half hour. There's no place like home. Come on in, have a seat. Oh, is that too soon? We need to get you in a seat eventually, Kaylee. Did you read sellers' reviews before purchasing? No, I just found the cheapest one. Should I have read the reviews? It's eBay. They wouldn't sell something if they weren't trustworthy, right? Let's see. Seller. 98.3 positive feedback with 565 scores. He gets the best rating on shipping speed. Next on communication. How about that? Next on reasonable shipping cost. Mine was free, so I guess I couldn't argue with that. And lowest score is on accurate description. So there's that. Kind of sounds like you might receive one that was used in another crime. Or maybe that's how they sourced it, you know? They found some Lexus in New Jersey and just ripped it off and sent it to me. Dallas born, Boston bred, gifted a membership. Thank you very much. AJ terrifically walks the dog. You were the recipient. Congratulations, AJ. Welcome. We are just a couple minutes, 1 minute away from court supposed to be starting, maybe a little less. If RA is lucky, it might be the replica of this trial. Johnny says, RA, do you not have scrapyards in the States? We do, but I'm in eastern North Carolina. And if I needed a taillight off a Camaro, I could go anywhere, any junkyard, and get it. Taillight from Camaros. That's all they drive around here. If you're cool, you have a Camaro. That's it. I don't think I've seen a Lexus since I moved here. So the odds of finding a Lexus LX 550, I forgot what the model is, 500, in that year range, I'd be driving halfway to the Mississippi before I found something like that. Plus, I wouldn't know what to do once I found it. I would just break it off the car. Let's see. Uh-oh, you might receive a mini one. It might be a tiny. Here's your taillight. You didn't say it needed to be the right size. As long as it works. All right. We're in Camaro country. It used to be that we had we had a lot of old trucks with what they call a Carolina squat. Now, when you think of Carolina squat, I want you to think about if you've got a dog, preferably a female dog, that needs to relieve herself. The position the dog assumes to do that, to take a quick wee, the back end sort of drops down low, right? We're not talking like the male dog where the one side goes up high. It's the back end drops down low. That's what they do to their trucks. They take the front and they jack it up, and then they lower the back end so it's almost scraping across the bottom. And what you end up with is a guy that can't see over his own hood trying to drive on the road. Let's not even worry about what that does to the oil in the engine and what parts of the oil don't get lubricated because all the oil is now where it shan't be. It's terrible. We actually, as a state, we banned it. We banned Carolina squats and said that it's illegal for you to drive around anymore in North Carolina with the height of the tail of the rear bumper being more than 6 inches lower than the height of the front bumper. So that lasted for about a week. And then the cops just stopped pulling people over, and now they're all doing it again, even though it's still illegal. Kay in South Carolina, member for 28 months, says, woohoo, 28 months here, Kay. Thank you so much. Longtime supporter of the channel. Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you very much. Kay has sent us some stuff as well, which is quite special over the years. I can say that now, Kay, over the years. Thank you. Are you using a crash test dummy to test taillight? Just wondering. Sojourner, do you have a spare? Do you have a spare you're willing to ship at your cost to me? I don't think I can afford to ship a full crash test dummy. I call those squatty potty trucks. That's it. They're terrible. They're just not safe. My son had a truck like that till it was banned, and he sold it. I was a happy woman, says Donna Termer. Can we get a morning recap, please? Well, a quick one, Kaylee. We had the niece testify. And she testified that basically things got bad in the relationship between John and Karen ever since the Aruba trip, that they fought a lot, that Karen was louder in the fights, that John had said it was a good relationship, but it's run its course, that generally, things were good depending on the day at home. Karen did go to, on cross-examination, Karen took her to games, sporting events and things like that, and drove her places and did things for her. But also got a little testimony about her coming in, waking her up at 4:30 in the morning or something, and saying that that John wasn't back, and what could have happened? Could have been hit by a snowplow or something like that. So, a lot of that. All right. Meanwhile, I have family members just trying to keep their non-modified cars running. All right. Did you see the test done by BN Trouble 31? I'm actually looking at his right now. He does a great analysis with a similar brake light. Although, I think his is a left. Yeah, he's got a left brake light. I have the right version. Lefts must be cheaper. And he breaks the lens off, the red lens, and then he breaks the diffuser inside and shows what the light would have looked like had the diffuser been broken out, and what it would have looked like had just the red lens been broken off. All right. Good test. He did some good stuff there. He got both eventually. Okay. If John was supposed to be inside the house, how did she automatically go to, could he have been hit by a snowplow? That's probably why the state is calling this witness, to get that information. I didn't watch the one with the human cadaver. I watched the one with the hammer on the floor, on the shop floor. It's all good. Diana Banana, a Grizzly lurking, stop by. Thank you very much. Say hi to Grizzly True Crime for us. Wonderful, wonderful channel. Incredible deep dives. Oh my goodness, she does a good job. Let's see. Did the Traverse belong to John? And is that the car she hit with her car? Yes, on both counts, Amy. Correct on both. I'm waiting for the sound of court to come beautifully through my ears, to my ears, and it's not happening. Once again, we are late. We've now had a 1 hour long lunch when the judge only authorized 50 minutes. Let's see. She has changed her story 3 times where she has changed her story on him going to the house. Once you lie, I don't have faith anymore. Who are you talking about, Virginia? Are you talking about Karen? Sarah T says, I think she really did it on accident, but this investigation was so bad it scares me. If this sets the precedent, people can be convicted this way. Accidents can be manslaughter, right? That's what sets apart second-degree murder from manslaughter is the accident factor. So even if she did it unknowingly, she could still be convicted. But they would have to prove first that there was a collision, and that's what the Commonwealth is trying hard to do and what the defense is saying they can't do. Because science. So we still are waiting for all that testimony. Is your voice input lower than usual? It's a tiny bit. I'm down like 1%. I've cranked the volume on my end. It just seems lower than usual. Is that any better? I just gave it a teensy boost. I'm waiting on the Reconstructionist. I'm waiting for that as well. That'll be a lot of fun. I wish they'd give us the pieces, like a map that show. They're not going to do this, but a map that shows when the piece was found, who found it, and where it goes on the taillight. Because if there's like a clear delineation line, and it's like everything over here was found by Proctor, and it was under the big pieces, they were all found later, and all the tiny pieces were sort of found sporadically over by other people. That would be like a moment. It would make you go a little bit. Okay, I did watch Be in Trouble's taillight one. It's not the one I'm looking at right now. The one where he has the arm and the vehicle, and it's like the taillight's like mounted off the vehicle, so he drives it into the arm, and the guy's like swinging the arm at it with all the broken bones. I did see some of that, but that's not the one I was watching right now. Carolina Squat Sprinter Van, new project. Phil, I hope you're not offended, but I have not opened the Sprinter Van. I want it in mint condition, and I'm afraid if I open it, the kids will think it's something they can play with. So you did make me this media truck, with the Recovery Addict on the side, Pickles Not Politics. Beautiful, beautiful Sprinter Van, and I love it. I don't know how you could squat that thing anymore. You got to get 6 inches of drop on the tail end. Unless you put like 22s on the front. That would be it. All right. Things that make you go, I've been hearing constantly that the state is not calling the medical examiner. I have no idea how they can pull that off. The problem is the medical examiner did not list it the way they wanted it listed, according to the defense. That it's not the open and shut, this was murder, this was a homicide. And because of that, it introduces doubt. Now, can you have a conviction where the medical examiner doesn't say it's a homicide? Yes, you can. It's not required because there are some homicides the medical examiner just can't determine one way or another. This doesn't seem to be one of those there's not enough body left to decide what happened moments. But it'll be interesting because I do believe that the defense will call the ME if the state does not. All right. Can we see that Sprinter? It's in a green box. So the Let's get a good focus on this. Hang on. So it's a media. You can see the courtroom through the box. It does say media. It's got the Recovery Addict logo. It says Pickles, not politics underneath. It's just a beautiful, beautiful Sprinter in a green box. So the green box looks more like this right there. So let me bounce something by you guys. We've got a couple more weeks of trial in Karen Reed's trial ahead of us, according to the schedule. And Mrs. RA and I, with the kids, may need to take a brief trip. I don't want to miss a single day of Karen Reed. We want to gabble through the whole thing. There's a longer weekend coming up, a 3-day weekend, where we might have to do 2 days of driving each way, which would mean that there's at least 1 or possibly 2 days of streaming from the vehicle. So what I'm going to probably do tonight to see if this is possible is put the Starlink up. Greena, oh, there's a solution. Greeners will just house sit and guest stream. Solved the problem for me, Greeners. Thank you. I'm going to put the Starlink mounted on the car and do some test live streams, do a little drive around and test the bandwidth we get on the road driving around, because we're not going to be going through many tunnels or anything. Oh, coming back to court. And if van life, if it works, I'm not getting audio from
and attempting to introduce the taillight housing. Do you remember that?
Yes.
And you mentioned there were a number of items in that bag.
That's correct.
And during that break, did we have a chance to look inside the bag?
Yes.
Accompanied by counsel for the defense?
Yes.
When items are stored in a bag, is it common for them to be transferred to other locations other than your evidence locker?
I'm sorry, can you rephrase that information?
Sure. When you store a piece of evidence in an evidence bag and you put it in the evidence locker for safekeeping, does the evidence sometimes travel to other places?
Yes.
If it's tested for other types of information, maybe DNA or biological fluids, can that item be transferred to another department?
Yes.
Is sometimes that item brought back and forth to court for other proceedings?
Yes.
And do you know if this item has been on different travels over time?
I do know that it went into several different units within the laboratory, yes.
When you opened up the bag and you said the housing was in that bag, the other items that were in the bag, do you know when they were put in there?
No, I do not.
Do they appear to be pieces that are consistent with the taillight housing?
I can't testify to whether or not they're consistent.
Okay. When you saw the pieces, do you know whether or not any of the pieces broke off that taillight housing?
I do not know.
The taillight housing, did it have any loose pieces when you first retrieved it from the Canton Police Department?
No, it did not. It had missing pieces, but nothing was loose on the taillight housing itself at the time that I collected it.
And the loose pieces on the bottom of that bag, they were in the bag when you opened it this morning?
Yes, that's correct.
The loose pieces, last time you had an opportunity to open that bag was how long ago?
The only time I opened that, the packaging for the taillight housing was in the laboratory when I first examined it in 2023.
And do you have any indication this has passed many hands or hands since then?
I do know that that item went to the trace unit after I examined it.
Those loose pieces in the bottom of the bag, I'm going to ask you to keep them with the taillight housing.
Okay.
And I'm going to move that piece of evidence. I may have one moment. Okay. Okay.
We've got some random stuff. We don't know if it's part of taillight. It showed up in the evidence box.
One last question. When a bag is opened by somebody who's examining it, if there are small loose pieces accompanying the item, is it ever packaged in separate baggies or containers?
In the criminalistics unit, so I can only speak for myself in my individual examination, if there are loose items within the item that's packaged with it, I would separate it and potentially separate into a smaller package and put it inside the larger container so that it doesn't get lost.
In addition to the loose pieces in the bottom of that bag, do you see separate small containers, packaging of smaller pieces?
Yes, there were 2 smaller containers within that larger bag.
And those smaller packages that are separate from the actual larger item, did you put smaller pieces in those small bags?
I did not do that.
It was done by somebody other than you?
At some point, yes.
Okay. I now move to introduce that into evidence.
No objection, subject to the explanation and cross-examination, Your Honor.
Okay.
Basically, somebody broke it.
Yes.
Somebody broke it, and now we have little pieces.
Yes.
Glove up.
The whole bag.
Yes. And you can keep the gloves on. I just want to be able to show the small.
Oh, okay. That's fine. I'll just get in here.
After it's marked.
Get a new pair because I've already touched something.
146.
You've already showed us the housing. Can you show us some of the small pieces in the bottom of the bag and also the small separate packaging that you did not package?
Yes.
Thank you. Could you explain what those are?
These are 2 small glassine envelopes that were in the container.
Any markings on those envelopes?
Yes. Would you like me to read them?
Please.
Okay. Some of it is illegible to me. I didn't write it. Oh, I'm sorry. It appears to be at least the second half of the case number. It's possible that's the 2202184. 3-1 pieces E, G, I'm not sure if it's an M or an H, I, S, K. This also has a case number 22-02184. 3-1 assorted small pieces.
Thank you. And was there any pieces that weren't packaged other than the housing in that bag?
Yes.
And could you show us, please?
The bag of tricks.
This item was also located in the bag.
It appears to be chrome.
And these 2 items were also located in the bag.
Thank you very much. May I approach?
Yes.
I'll take that.
Notice it does not say Stop and Shop on it.
Thank you. When you brought the taillight housing back to the lab, did you take it out of the bag and do anything with it?
Yes, during my examination, I did remove it from the bag to look at it.
After you looked at it or during your observations, did you take any samples from it?
Yes, I did.
Explain to us what you did.
I took a polyester swab. I moistened it with sterile water, and then I applied that swab to the external front areas of the taillight.
Why did you do that?
My goal was to collect any potential biological material that was present on the exterior of the taillight.
Did you engage in that procedure pursuant to your training and experience?
Yes, I did.
If we could have former P-187 back on the screen, which is now an exhibit. Could you use the pointer and the television to your right? Could you show us or show the jury where you took a swab, what areas?
Yes.
Thank you.
So I took my collection from this upper right-hand corner, the red apparent plastic, as well from this area down here, another piece of red plastic, and then these clear apparent plastic here on the front of the taillight housing. Basically, any areas that would have been exposed when the taillight was intact.
Why do you take the swab and go to multiple different parts of an item?
The goal of this collection was just to determine if there's any biological material in that area, and there's no forensic relevance really to if it came from the upper right or the lower left. I took that collection as a whole, and in addition, there was a very small surface area to begin with.
When you took the swab, did you run it along the breaks in the red part?
Like the edges here?
Yes, the edges.
It's possible, yes, that I collected from those edges.
Do you have a memory of what part you actually swabbed?
I remember swabbing the external areas of the taillight, those that would have been on the outside prior to any damage being done.
Okay, thank you. You can take that down, please. After you engage in the procedure of taking a swab, what do you do to preserve that swab?
That swab is air dried. It's then repackaged in a small glassine envelope. A portion of the swab is also put in a clear plastic tube, which is sent forward to the DNA unit.
Did you do that?
Yes, I did.
Why do you go through that type of procedure? Why do you take that many steps?
I'm sorry, may I correct my answer from the last question?
Please.
My apologies. So in this particular instance, the entire swab was cut up and put into plastic tubes for further testing.
Why did you do it that way?
This item was quantity limited. The swab itself was quantity limited, meaning that they'd have to use up the whole swab in order to run DNA analysis.
Did you do DNA analysis on the swab?
No, I did not.
Why not?
I don't work in the DNA unit, so that is the job of a different analyst.
At some point, did you take that item that had been preserved and put it into evidence?
Yes, I did.
Were you shown a bag full of red plastic cups with an item in it when you were at the Canton Police Department?
Yes, I was.
Could we have Exhibit 56, please? Thank you. This is a photograph that's been marked as an exhibit. Do you recognize what's in that exhibit?
Yes, I do.
And what is it?
Those are 6 red plastic cups that contained frozen red-brown stains.
Did you do anything relative to the content of those cups?
I took a collection from one of the cups using 2 sterile cotton swabs.
Can you just briefly explain what that process entails?
Yes. I allowed the frozen red-brown stains to thaw. I applied sterile water to 2 cotton swabs, and then I applied it to one of the red-brown stained cups to collect the material from inside.
How do you preserve and maintain the integrity of whatever sample you collect?
That sample is then entered into a glassine envelope, a large aluminum envelope. It is then sealed with my initials and date. It is given an independent item number and stored within the proper unit within the lab.
You take that down. Thank you. At some point, did you look at clothing?
Yes, I did.
Where did you look at clothing?
I examined the clothing from this case at the Massachusetts State Police Crime Laboratory.
Was the items brought to the crime laboratory?
Yes, they were.
Did you have a chance to unpackage them?
Yes, I did.
When you received them, how were they stored?
They were stored in brown paper bags and potentially boxes. I don't remember off the top of my head.
And did you look at a number of different items of clothing?
Yes, I did.
May I approach, Your Honor?
Yes.
I'm going to show you a series of 4 photographs. I'm going to ask you about each one of them individually. You recognize the first photograph?
Yes, I do.
What is it?
This is a photograph I took of a gray sweatshirt.
Does that photograph accurately depict the sweatshirt as it appeared to you when you looked at it?
Yes, it does.
Can you look at the second photograph, please? Do you recognize what's in that photograph?
Yes, I do.
What is it?
This is an additional photograph of the front of the gray sweatshirt where I had put some markings on the sweatshirt.
Why did you put markings on the sweatshirt?
These markings specifically are noting areas of damage.
Third photograph, please. Do you recognize what's in that photograph?
Yes, I do.
And what's in that photograph?
This is a close-up photo of the area of damage that I denoted as 1.
And a fourth photograph, please. Do you recognize that photograph?
Yes, I do.
What is it?
This is a close-up of area damage 1.
Is that a fair and accurate depiction of what you saw that day when you examined this particular item?
Yes.
Can I move these 4 photographs into evidence?
I could just see them quickly.
This is Mr. Brennan, who was questioning this witness.
Thank you, Mr. Brennan. No objection, Your Honor.
And Mr. Alessi will be on cross. Just a very, very good witness, very clear, very precise in her answers.
7A, B, C, and D.
Thank you. With the court's permission, could we please show former P190 to the jury?
Yes.
Phil, is your Etsy shop
Is that
the
one of
same
the
as
photographs you just recognized?
your name?
Yes, it is.
And could you explain to us what you see?
This is the exterior front of the gray sweatshirt. There is linear damage between the top and bottom of the sweatshirt, as well as linear damage across each sleeve of the sweatshirt.
Do you see the cut down the front of that sweatshirt?
Yes.
Did you distinguish that cut as any different than the damage on the arm?
I did not do any damage analysis on that particular area of damage.
Why not?
Typically in these type of events, you'll see those types of damage associated with clothing being removed from emergency medical technicians, so they're not forensically relevant.
Thank you. If we could turn now to former P194. Is this the same sweatshirt?
Yes, it is.
There's a little bit difference. There's markings or tabs on it?
Yes, that's correct.
What are you doing there?
I put tabs on each of the areas of damage on the sleeve and 2 on the chest that I was going to examine further.
When you put the tabs on, do you write a report or mark it in any way to memorialize it in case the tabs fall off?
Yes, in this case, they were marked tabs 1 through 9. Those are not permanent on the sweatshirt. They're actually just pieces of filter paper that I used to mark it.
Could we, Ms. Gilman, zoom in on that right arm, please? Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. What is written on those tabs?
Each tab has a number on it that corresponds with an area of damage that I examined.
And when you write a report, when you memorialize it, is that to keep an accounting of each?
Yes, that's correct.
If we could turn now to former P196, which is 147C. What does that depict, ma'am?
That is a close-up of the area of damage 1 that I did further examination on.
Could we zoom in a little bit on the...
Pretty zoomed in already.
Part? Is that a fair and accurate depiction of what it looked like when you examined it?
Yes, it is.
And finally, if we could have P197, which is Exhibit 147D. What are you doing there?
That's a close-up photo of that same area of damage 1 with a scale included.
We just saw a close-up of one of the holes that was marked number 1. Did you do the same analysis for each and every one of those areas that you marked?
Yes, I did.
And did you look close up at each and every one of them and measure each and every one of them?
Yes, I did.
Are there photographs showing all of those different angles for each and every hole that you went through?
Yes, I took numerous photographs of each area of damage.
You could take that down, please. In addition to that sweatshirt, did you look at any other clothing items?
Yes, I did.
Court's permission, can I approach?
Yes.
Thank you. I'm showing you 2 photographs. If you could look at the first one, do you recognize what's in that photograph?
Yes, I do.
What is it?
This is item 7-17. It's an orange T-shirt.
Is it a fair? Should I wait?
Got 2 more sirens to add to the
Is that a
count.
fair and accurate depiction of the T-shirt when you examined it?
Yes, it is.
And the second photograph, please, take a look.
Yes.
Do you recognize what's in that?
Yes, I do.
And what is it?
This is the other side of the orange T-shirt.
Is that a fair and accurate depiction of the T-shirt when you examined it?
Yes, it is.
All right, move these 2 photographs into evidence, please.
No objection, Your Honor.
All right, thank you.
Now they're just messing with the court. They're sitting right outside the courthouse.
Exhibits 148A and B.
With the court's permission, I'd like to show P232 to the jury.
Okay.
Could you tell us what you see?
That is a photograph of item 7-17. Is the back of the orange T-shirt.
Could we zoom a little in on the numbers on the bottom, Ms. Gilman? What's that on the bottom?
That is the case number, the individual item number for that T-shirt, my initials, and the date that I examined it, or the date that I took the photo.
So you had
1523.
obtained this item on that date, or this is when you examined it and already had it?
That is the date that I opened it up, examined it, and took the photo.
And on the left, what's that ruler used for?
That's a scale just to show the size of the item.
Could we zoom back out and get a full look at that? Thank you. If you could turn next to P233, Ms. Gilman. What is that a photograph of?
That is a photograph of the front of the orange T-shirt, item 7-17.
Ms. Gilman, can we first see the bottom left-hand corner, zoomed in a little bit? Thank you. Why did you place a marker there?
I used markers on this item to note areas of staining that I was going to do further analysis on.
Did you do further analysis of that stain area?
Yes, I did.
And how did you do that? Any different than the swab you talked about before?
This I screened for blood, and I'd have to check my notes for any further testing I did on it.
When you screened it for blood, was it a positive or negative result?
That was positive.
Do you know if you did anything further with it?
May I check my notes?
With the court's permission? Thank you.
Can you turn the lights up, please? Thank you.
Please.
Yes, I also performed a confirmatory test for blood on that stain.
So what's the difference between a preliminary and a confirmatory test?
A screening test, other types of materials may cause a positive reaction. For the confirmatory test, it is confirmatory for blood, as well as it indicates human blood, although you might get a positive reaction from primate blood or ferret blood.
Can we now turn to the top right and zoom in, if you would? We see 3 tabs there. What are you looking for in those areas?
Those are 3 additional red-brown stains that I performed further testing on.
And do you have the results of that testing?
So I performed a screening test on each of those tests, and each of those screening tests was positive. I performed a confirmatory test on stains A and C, which were also positive. I did not perform that test on stain B due to its small size.
If you could zoom out just a little bit, please. Similar to the sweatshirt, there's long cuts through the front of that T-shirt. Is your analysis and opinion any different than the similar cuts that you saw on the sweatshirt?
Yes, I did not perform any additional analysis on those area of damage due to the fact that they're most likely attributed to the emergency medical technicians or medical personnel removing that item of clothing.
Thank you. You could take that down, please, Ms. Gilman. And for the final piece of clothing, did you have a chance to look at pants?
I did look at a pair of jeans, yes.
May I approach, Your Honor?
Yes.
I handed you 2 photographs. The first one, do you recognize it?
Yes, I do.
And what is it?
This is a photograph of the front of the pair of jeans, item 7-1.
Could you look at the second photograph, please? Do you recognize what's in that?
Yes, I do.
What is it?
This is a photograph of the back of the pair of jeans, item 7-1.
Do both of those photographs fairly depict what you saw when you examined the clothing?
Yes, they do.
I'd move these two into evidence, please.
No objection, Your Honor.
Okay.
Thank you.
Exhibits 149A and B.
With the court's permission, I would show P242, which is 149A, to the jury.
Okay.
Was there anything of note when you examined these pants?
These pants also had linear damage between the top and the bottom, which would be consistent with cuts made by emergency medical personnel when removing the item.
If we could zoom in to show those cuts, Ms. Gilman. And could we scroll down, please? Thank you. If we could next show P243, which is 149B. Could you zoom in on the top part of those pants, please? Do you make any observations or notes about the pants?
May I look at my notes, please?
With the court's permission, please. Thank you.
This picture does look more like, doesn't look like grass stains as much here, but could be the coloration of the screen that's presenting it. That back right
I noted
pocket
numerous
is torn.
red-brown stains on the clothing, as well as dirt and debris on the clothing.
What part of the pants did you note the dirt and debris?
It was just a general observation. I didn't specifically denote where it was.
Ms. Gilman, could you scroll from the top to the bottom of the pants, please? Thank you. You can take that down, please.
The torn pocket was visible when they held it up.
Did you perform any additional testing relative to the clothing that you examined, that being the sweatshirt, the T-shirt, and the pants?
I performed numerous tests on each of the red-brown stains on the items that I marked.
After you completed examining the red and brown stains, did you do any other type of testing or evidence collection relative to the clothing?
Yes, I did.
Could you share with the jury what you did as far as further evidence collection relative to the clothing?
Can we take it item by item? How would you prefer to do it?
Let's start with the sweatshirt.
Okay. So in addition to testing the red-brown stains, I collected any stain that was positive or confirmatory for blood. After performing that collection, I also performed a collection around the tears on the right sleeve of the item. That's using 2 cotton swabs moistened with sterile water, which I vigorously rubbed around the areas of the teared areas on the sleeve. I also performed an additional scraping and swabbing of the unstained area of the sweatshirt for any potential skin cell recovery. In addition, I performed a debris collection from the sweatshirt.
I want to stop you there. I want you to explain to us in some detail what is a debris collection and how do you undergo a debris collection?
After I've completed all the testing that I'm going to do on the item, I remove any large items that may be present on the item, such as apparent hairs or fibers, anything that I can pick off I can visibly see with a pair of tweezers, Once that is done, I will do I did a general debris collection where I took a large metal spatula-shaped object and scraped the clothing, or in this particular case, the sweatshirt. And any debris that came off the sweatshirt was put into a glassine fold and preserved.
Before you tried to scrape off any debris that was on the sweatshirt, could you, to your own eye, see any debris in the sweatshirt?
May I check my notes?
Yes.
In this particular case, I did pick off a couple of pieces of what I termed black debris. I made no additional analysis of that item. I packaged that separately, and then the scrapings themselves, I did not make any observations of anything contained in those scrapings. So there was nothing of note that I could have put in my notes to further classify them.
When you do the scraping, is there a table or a desk that you would see small pieces or difficult pieces? How do you contain what you're scraping from an item?
I lay out a piece of glassine paper, which is approximately 6 inches by 6 inches, and I scrape the debris into that glassine, and then I fold it up and put it in an additional envelope to prevent anything from falling out.
So if there's any debris, you would fold it in the glassine and then put that in a separate envelope?
Yes, that's correct.
And did you continue to study and scrape the other pieces of clothing?
Yes, I performed that same type of scraping on the orange T-shirt. That scraping was combined with the scrapings from the sweatshirt. I performed the same scraping on the jeans as well as the boxer shorts.
In that scraping process, did you acquire debris?
Yes, there was some visible debris.
How small were the pieces?
I did not make any measurements of it.
Why not?
That's done by a different analysis unit, so I didn't do any type of analysis on that debris.
How small or large were the pieces of debris that you scraped from the clothing?
I did not take any measurements of them.
How did you store the debris that you scraped from the clothing?
It was put into a glassine fold, given a separate item number, and then put into a larger glassine fold so that it could be tracked throughout the laboratory.
Do you have that item number?
Yes, I do. So the debris from the sweatshirt and T-shirt was item 7-18.18.
I'm going to ask you one more time for that number.
7-18.18.
And that's the debris that you scraped from the shirt and the sweatshirt?
Correct.
Did you do any debris scrapings from the pants?
Yes, I did.
Was any debris produced from the pants?
Yes.
Was it similarly packaged?
Yes, that's correct.
Was there a different item number given for the pants?
Yes.
And what was that item number?
May I check my notes?
Yes.
Thank you. That item number, the debris from the jeans, was 7-1.8.
Those two items, the debris that you acquired from those clothing items, did you send them anywhere?
I put those in our secured storage unit, and they were later forwarded on to the trace unit for analysis.
They later went to the trace unit?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. When you arrived at Canton on February 1st, 2022, do you recall what the weather was like outside?
I don't recall. I just know that it was winter.
You said when you first get to a scene, you have a conversation about the investigators' information to help your assessment. And I don't want you to discuss what that conversation may have been. But did you have a similar conversation?
Yes, I did.
When you're looking at an item that's been stored, like in this case, a car, does the weather conditions, ice, cold, snow, ever preserve or maintain evidence on an item longer than it otherwise would stay?
I'm sorry, can you ask that one more time, please?
Sure. Does ice or snow or the weather ever maintain evidence longer than otherwise would stay?
I don't have any data or information to that.
Have you ever had an opportunity to view videos of the Lexus when it was first stored and the condition of snow and ice on it and the thawing process of that?
I don't believe that's the part of the video I saw, no.
You saw a video after the snow had already melted?
I don't know if the snow had melted. When I saw the vehicle, it did not have snow on it.
Okay. Thank you. I have no further questions.
Okay.
Your Honor, may I approach the
Yes.
witness? Thank you. Your Honor, pursuant
Show Mr. Brennan what you did. Okay.
pursuant to a stipulation with the Commonwealth, we've stipulated into evidence various documents. So what I'd like, with Your Honor's permission, and for the clerk,
Great.
have a marked as next in order, and then I'll proceed from there.
Thank you. Should any be marked A, B, and C, or are they each separate?
Separate, please, Your Honor.
Okay.
All right, Mr. Alessi, what do you have for us here? Bunch of pictures.
Exhibits 150 through 153.
And Your Honor, there is one more exhibit that we had pursuant to stipulation to offer in the evidence for purposes. Next in order.
Do appreciate all of you that have given a good solid Buchanan acknowledge to the live stream so far. Click that thumbs up button.
154.
It's just to indicate that you are in fact watching.
Okay.
Has nothing to do with whether or not you like the stream or not. It's just acknowledged.
Thank you for that opportunity, Your Honor. And if I could, please, I'll leave these here. These are all going to be published with Your Honor's permission, but obviously the witness is going to need them for
So you can put them right on the witness.
Thank you, Your Honor. And lastly, may I approach for the witness? Thank you.
Sure, thank you.
Technically.
Good afternoon, Ms. Hartman.
Good afternoon.
Is it acceptable to you for me to refer to you as Ms. Hartnett?
Yes, that's fine. Thank you.
You were dispatched to the Sally Port at the Canton Police Department on February 1st, 2022 by former Massachusetts State Trooper Michael Proctor, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
You understood at that time that Michael Proctor was the lead detective, the person who was in control of the investigation?
Yes, that's what I was informed of when I arrived.
Lead detective.
While you were there, one of the things that you did initially was to conduct an overview of the vehicle meaning the black Lexus SUV that you talked about extensively on direct, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
That was important to you, given the limited information that you had at the time about what was contended to be a potential motor vehicle pedestrian incident, correct?
That is something that I would do in any type of exam where I'm looking at a vehicle. I look at the overall vehicle.
So you were looking for anything possible that would rise to the level of investigative concern regarding that vehicle, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
And you're familiar with the parlance investigative concern, right?
Yes, that's correct.
And that's why you noted various items, for example, scratches on the vehicle?
Yes.
You didn't draw any conclusions as to where those scratches came from, though, did you?
No, I did not.
The dent that you noted and photographed that you discussed on your direct examination, you likewise made no conclusion as to the source or cause of that dent, correct?
That's correct.
And you did therefore not make any or draw any conclusions as to whether that dent was caused by any motor vehicle or pedestrian accident, correct?
Correct.
You're a forensic scientist, too, for the Massachusetts State Police Department, as I understand it?
Yes.
With regard to the taillight that you spoke about rather extensively on your direct examination, you likewise were not able to, and you make no conclusions as to the cause of that broken taillight, correct?
That's correct.
And you draw, therefore, no conclusions with regard to whether that taillight became in the condition that was discussed on direct examination pursuant to any alleged motor vehicle pedestrian incident, correct?
Correct.
The dent, the scratches, the broken taillight on the Lexus, to your knowledge, as you sit here today, could have existed before February 1st, 2022, when you went to Sallyport, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
And to your knowledge, the dent, the scratches, the broken taillight could have existed before January 29th of 2022, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
You also looked for, as you stated, tissue, blood, biological material, and things of that nature on the vehicle, correct?
Yes, I did.
In that inspection of the vehicle, you didn't see any visible stains or tissue on the vehicle, did you?
No, I did not.
You were told, Ms. Hartnett, that there were wounds on the right arm of Mr. O'Keefe, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
And at the time you went to the Sallyport on February 1st of 2022, you were not shown a photograph by anybody of the wounds on the right arm of Mr. O'Keefe, were you?
No, I was not.
However, you've seen since then a photograph of the right arm of Mr. O'Keefe and the wounds on that right arm, correct?
Yes, I have.
With your Honor's permission, if I could publish Exhibit 1 in evidence?
Okay.
Thank you. Mr. Wolf? Ms. Hartnett, I'd ask you to take a look at that, and you recognize that what's depicted in that Exhibit 1, correct?
Yes, I do.
And you've seen that pattern of wounds on the right arm as depicted in a photograph of the decedent before, correct?
I've seen this photo before, yes.
You cannot state whether the wounds on the right arm as depicted in Exhibit 1 are from a motor vehicle, can you?
That would be on the scope of my expertise. I don't make any conclusions on injuries on a person.
So the answer is you cannot and do not make any conclusions with regard to the source of the wounds on the right arm as Mr. O'Keefe as depicted in that Exhibit 1, correct?
That's correct.
And you're also not able to state whether you observed anything on the vehicle.
Mr. Alessi, can we put are you done with this?
I'm not yet,
Okay.
Your Honor, but I will let the court know. It'll be shortly. Thank you. And you cannot state that you observed anything on the SUV that would cause the wounds on the right arm of Mr. O'Keefe as depicted in Exhibit 1, correct?
That is not a type of analysis I would perform.
So the answer to that question is no, you cannot state that you observed anything on the vehicle that would cause those wounds to the right arm of Mr. O'Keefe?
Yes. Sustained.
We can now take that down, Your Honor. Thank you. Did you look toward the top of the lift gate of the Lexus vehicle when you were at the Sallyport Kent Police Department on February 1st of 2022?
Are you referring to the exterior or the interior?
Exterior.
I don't recall specifically looking at that area. I did an overall examination of the vehicle, with exception to the actual roof of the vehicle. So I don't remember specifically looking at that area.
So as you sit here today, there is nothing notable with regard to that area of the vehicle, correct?
I had nothing in my notes regarding that area, no.
And as you sit here today, there's nothing you're recalling that is notable about the tap part around the lift gate of the back of the SUV, correct?
That's correct.
Did anyone ask you to examine that area?
Not that area specifically, no.
Do you understand what I will refer to as the undercarriage of the vehicle?
Yes.
And what, just for the jury's better understanding, what are you referring to when you refer to the undercarriage of the vehicle? I know it may be common sense, but just to be clear.
What I understand the undercarriage to be, where if I was laying underneath the car, what I would be looking at, it include the muffler, various pipes, but that's the extent of my knowledge of vehicles.
So if we're talking about the back of the vehicle, and if we go sort of top to bottom, top of where you're talking about above the lift gate, going all the way down, and then go to the bumper, and then go under the bumper, and where it curls under the bumper, then with the bumper and underneath and more a little toward the front, is that what you're referring to as the undercarriage?
Yes, just the general area underneath the vehicle, extending from under the bumper to the front of the vehicle.
Right, so the undercarriage is not merely from the back, but it's underneath all the way toward the front of the vehicle, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
And you refer to all, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. So all that area you refer to as the undercarriage?
Yes.
Did you notice anything of note in the undercarriage, as you just described it, of the vehicle?
No, I did not.
And as regards sampling that you discussed on your direct examination, did you take any samples of that undercarriage area of the vehicle?
I did not collect anything from the undercarriage, no.
And is the reason you didn't collect anything because you didn't see anything of note that was worthy of collection?
In addition to that, I also performed some testing of that area.
And what testing of that area did you perform?
I performed screening tests on some of the lower lying areas of the undercarriage, on the tire flaps, the edge of the bumper, the muffler pipe.
And what were the results of that testing, that screening testing?
Those results were negative.
And negative for what?
It was a screening test for the possible presence of blood.
So on the entire undercarriage, from where we started in the very back, all the way underneath, all the way up to the front, the screening test came back negative for any blood or other biological material or anything else of note that would be part of that screening test.
So I did not perform a screening test on the entire undercarriage. I just performed the screening test on the lower lying areas, and those were all negative. And there was also no visible staining in that area, so that is correct.
What I'd like to do now is to talk about sort of overall what we just discussed. So you discussed certain damage to the vehicle. You had no way on February 1st, and you have no way today of knowing whether any or all of that damage was pre-existing before January 29th of 2022, correct?
That's correct.
So it's possible that all the damage that you've discussed could have existed before January 29th of 2022.
Yes, that's possible.
Are you aware of the odometer reading of the Lexus when it was in the Sallyport garage?
No, I'm not.
If we showed you a document in evidence that would have that on the mileage on the odometer, might that refresh your recollection as to what the mileage was?
That's not something I made a note of or even observed on the day that I was looking at the vehicle.
Okay, so you were there with Trooper Clark on February 1st, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Are you aware of whether Trooper Clark observed and took a picture of the odometer? Are you aware if that happened?
I'm not aware of that specific picture.
The mileage on the vehicle was of no interest to you in your inspection as a forensic scientist too?
So my role as a forensic scientist too is to look for potential biological fluids and trace materials on an item. The mileage would not be something that I have ever made note of in any of my examinations of the vehicle.
So if you're...
Unless he's disappointed.
But you do analyze damage, correct?
I perform damage analysis on textiles and softer materials, not on vehicles.
But you performed a damage analysis on this vehicle, correct?
No, that's not correct.
So you observed damage on this vehicle, correct?
Yes.
But although you observed damage, for your role, your position is that the mileage is of not of interest regarding your role. If I got that correct?
Correct.
Thank you. Moving on to another category, you spoke on direct examination about solo cups and 6 solo cups, and there were depictions put on the screen. Do you recall that?
Yes, I do.
So on February 1st, in addition to taking some swabs from the vehicle, you also mentioned that you took swabs of, as I recall it, frozen red-brown stains located inside the red solo cups?
Yes, that's correct.
Other than in this case, did you ever have to take swabs of red stain material from Solo cups that people usually use for other purposes?
I've never performed a collection like that, no.
So this
popping
is the
sound
first
is a
time you
3-ring
ever
binder.
performed a collection like that, correct?
I mean, the collection process itself is standard, applying the sterile water to the swabs and putting it in a potential stain of interest. However, no, I've never collected a sample from a red Solo cup before.
Have you ever taken a sample from a red Solo cup since that February 1st?
No, I've not.
How many swabs did you take with regard to the red Solo cups?
I took 2 swabs.
Which cups did you swap?
How did you choose which of the 6 Solo cups that you were going to take? And I understand you took 2. Did you take 2 swabs?
2 swabs, but they were considered the same sample. They were taken from the same cup, same stain.
That was what I wanted to get at. Is you took 2 swabs, but they were from the same Solo cup.
That's correct.
Do you recall how you chose which Solo cup you were going to take the swab from?
I don't recall.
Could that be of significance, which one you chose and why?
In this particular case, I did not believe it was significant at the time.
Did you confer with anybody as to what might be the best Solo cup from which to take the swab?
I did receive information about where those Solo cups were collected from, which helped me in making that decision.
As a forensic scientist, too, you're aware that blood stains can contain, and these red-brown stains here, could contain multiple contributors, correct?
In some instances, that is correct.
What's a multiple contributor?
A multiple contributor, I believe the term more used in the DNA unit. However, having many contributors to a particular stain just mean there may be multiple sources of that biological material.
Do you know which red-brown stains that are contended to be found at the scene relate to which Solo cup in the bag that these Solo cups were in?
The information I had at the time were that these were collected from a single stained area from beneath the victim.
But you don't have personal knowledge of that, correct?
No, that's correct. I was not present at the scene at 34 Fairview.
If the swabs were taken from multiple stains, you would have no way of knowing whether the swabs were taken from the same stain, correct?
Can you rephrase that, please?
Sure. If the swabs were taken from multiple stains, you wouldn't know where the swabs in particular came from?
So are you speaking of the swabs that I took?
Yes.
So the swabs that I took, I know came from one of those 6 cups. And I was informed that those 6 cups of red-brown stains came from a single stained area underneath the victim.
That information you just spoke about, was it put in any note that you read?
It was something that I had in my notes.
Did anybody else convey that information to you at the Sally Port?
I got that from an officer on scene at the Sally Port, but I do not recall which officer relayed that to me.
So it was verbal information you got from that
is correct.
person. Did that person show you any note or chain of custody or other document to support his or her statement in that regard?
No, they did not.
Ultimately, once you did take those swabs from a single Solo cup, what did you do with the rest of the evidence in the cup?
That evidence was left with the Canton PD.
The rest of the brown stained blood evidence from the Solo cups with the Canton PD. You didn't take it back with you to your officer lab.
Correct.
DNA testing was not done on those swabs, was it?
I don't believe it was. No testing was done on those swabs.
So as we all sit here today, there has been no confirmation of whose blood those swabs relate to, correct?
At this time, those were not tested for blood at all, so I couldn't confirm that they're blood, and no additional testing was done. That is correct.
So therefore, we don't know any person or persons they might relate to.
That is correct.
And thus, we don't know if there were multiple contributors to those stains.
Objection.
Oh.
Sustained.
You testified that the remainder of the contents of the Solo cup that you swabbed from, as well as the other 5 Solo cups, were retained at the Canton Police Department, as you know, before you left. And that investigation, as you said at the time, was being headed up by former Trooper Proctor, correct?
That is correct.
Michael Proctor was at the Canton Police Department Sallyport location at the time you were performing your work on February 1st, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Did Michael Proctor take control of those Solo cups?
I do not know who took control of the Solo cups. I know that I turned them over to a Canton police officer. I handed them to a Canton police officer.
Might Michael Proctor have taken control of those Solo cups?
To my knowledge, it was a Canton police officer at that time. I don't know what happened to them after they were turned over to the Canton PD.
Why is it that you believe a Canton police officer had control over those cups rather than former Trooper Proctor?
Just from my actual memory, I remember turning them over. They had collected the frozen red brown stains in the cups, so it was technically their evidence. I took the sample I needed from them, so I just returned it to the officer who had presented them to me.
So therefore, after you presented them, you don't know who took control of those cups. Is that a fair conclusion?
Yes, that's correct. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
That's okay. My question probably wasn't all that clear. Ultimately, during your work and inspection of the vehicle, the SUV, the right rear taillight housing was removed, as you testified to on direct examination, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
And you testified that a Canton police officer sort of helped you with the last stage of the removal of that taillight?
Yes, that's correct.
Do you know whether that officer was wearing, do you have a distinct recollection that that officer was wearing any special protective gloves?
I only know because I have seen the videos recently that he was wearing gloves.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear your answer.
I only know that he was wearing gloves because I have recently seen the video. I do not have a first-hand memory of that.
You said you recently saw a video. When was that?
Monday.
And what was
Maybe, I'm sorry. Let me correct myself. What day is today? I saw it Thursday, excuse me.
And what was the circumstances under which you were reviewing a video?
I had just recently found out there was video, and it's just something I wanted to see in case I was shown it on the stand so I knew what it consisted of. I hadn't seen it prior to last Thursday.
Did you testify to that on your direct and I missed it, or did it not come up? Reviewing a video.
I'm sorry, yes. I believe I was asked if I had seen the video, and yes, I had.
Okay, thank you. Now back to the tail light. Mr. Woke, if we could have Exhibit 145 published.
Okay.
With Your Honor's permission.
Yes.
Thank you. We have up on the screens, and I know you went through this on direct, so I'm going to shortcut it. This is the tail light at the lab that you were talking about on direct, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
And that's the taillight housing that you submitted to the lab that you had obtained from the Sallyport garage, right?
Yes,
So
correct.
just to cover quickly some basics, there was one swab taken that you mentioned on direct of that taillight.
Yes.
And you testified, if I remember correctly, on direct that you, well, it's better for you just, if you could with a pointer, is just show the areas you covered with that one swab.
So I collected the swab from any of the, what would have been exposed areas of the taillight when the taillight was intact.
And if you could please, just give like a perimeter full, I know it's not a circle, but whatever it is, just full perimeter so the jury can see the entire area that you swabbed.
Sure. It was this upper right-hand red area, this portion down here, I believe it's red, and then there's also a portion of clear area in the front here that was swabbed, and that was all contained on a single swab.
Thank you very much. So I want to keep this up if I could, Your Honor, but we can have the lights back on if that's acceptable. Just so, thank you.
The clear area would not have been exposed when the taillight was intact.
In terms of the swabbing, you did not swab, therefore, any other area of that taillight, correct? Including the area to the left of where you just drew the circle, if you will, around, correct?
I would just say it's difficult from this picture to see if there's what would have been exposed when the may I finish? I'm sorry. I don't know specifically on the left from this picture if there's anything that would have been there prior to the damage. If there was an external area, it would have been included in my collection. So I just didn't include any of the internal components of the taillight. So if I'm missing a piece over there that would have been on the exterior, then I apologize. I just can't see it in the picture if it's there.
Let's just assume my discussion and my questions. You don't have to assume. My questions are just with regard to the inside of the taillight, because you've very nicely governed and talked about the outside of the taillight as you described it, where you swab. Now I want to go to the areas that you didn't swab.
Okay.
Whatever you best can do to describe the areas of the taillight that you did not swab.
Okay.
And if you could use the laser pointer, if that
Sure.
helps you.
So I did not swab the internal
just shined it
areas
right
of the
in your
taillight.
face.
So here where the light bulb would have been, or down here where it's gray.
And focusing on the
Where the light
more,
bulb would have
is it
been.
okay to call it the inside part of the taillight? Is that
LEDs.
acceptable?
Okay.
So the inside of the taillight, to be clear, you didn't swab that area.
No, I did not.
In terms of where you did swab, given that you swabbed with one swab the entire area, you are not able to say precisely where any DNA might have come from?
Just that it would have been present, if there was DNA present on that swab, it would have come from the external exposed area of the taillight, should the taillight have been intact.
But again, on the inside, because you didn't swab the inside, you had no evidence of DNA on the inside of the taillight, correct?
Correct. I did not swab the inside.
With regard to the, what we'll call the outside, where you did swab, as opposed to the inside where you didn't, you cannot define whether the DNA was to the upper right, to the outside of the taillight lens, or some other place in that area, correct?
No, I wouldn't be able to narrow down where on the external portion, external front. I mean, I didn't swab anything in the back that was attached to the vehicle. So anything in the external front, I would not be able to narrow down any further where, if any biological material was present, where it was recovered from, specifically on the external area.
What does she mean by external front?
You did not find any glass on the inside of the taillight? Did you?
Are you referring to like loose pieces?
Any kind of glass at all?
I did not note anything unusual inside the taillight.
I'm speaking, thank you for that answer. I am speaking specifically about glass. You didn't find any glass on the inside of that taillight when you were at Sallyport for your entire inspection on February 1st, 2022, correct?
I'm just want to make sure that I understand your question. I didn't find anything that was not inherent to the taillight inside. I don't know what the taillight's made out of. So if there's a portion on the inside that's made out of glass, it may have been there. I didn't see anything that was out of place on the interior of the taillight.
Okay. So using your terms inherent, you mean by that something could have been on the inside of that taillight that was part of the taillight that could have been glass. But other than that, there's no what scientists call exogenous or outside glass or glass that doesn't belong as part of the taillight, correct?
I'm hesitant to answer that specific question. I don't perform glass analysis, so I just perform collection. So if there was something that apparently looked like glass that had been loose inside, if that's what you're referring to, I can answer that question. But I can't say specifically whether a material is glass.
I understand. My question is a basic one.
Okay.
Which is, you found no glass that would not be associated. Let me strike that. Did you ever observe in this taillight any glass as part of the taillight that's part of the taillight? Anything glass that you observed?
Again, I can't make the distinction on a material being glass, so I think the premise of the question I'm having difficulty answering.
Okay. So, last part of the questioning, you didn't make any note that said you found glass inside of that taillight, correct?
I wouldn't make a note that something is glass inside a taillight because I can't draw a conclusion to what a material is, because that's just not part of the analysis I do.
And to wrap this part up, and then we can move on from this item, you didn't find any DNA on the inside of that taillight.
My analysis would not include DNA analysis because that is a different unit, so I can't answer that question.
To your knowledge, as you sit here today, is there any information from anybody that says that there's any DNA in that taillight?
I have no information of that.
Thank you. So what I want to do now is, if we can take that down, Mr. Wolk, I want to move on to what is sometimes referred to as touch DNA. I know you're familiar with that concept, right, Ms. Hartnett?
Yes, that's correct.
And what is, for the jurors' understanding, what is touch DNA?
When skin comes into contact with an item, potentially skin cells can be left behind, which is commonly referred to as touch DNA, when in essence it's these skin cells from the person being transferred to another object or item.
So is this a fair example that if I walk by the podium and brush my hand against it like that, I could very well leave touch DNA on that podium for what I just did? Okay.
So stand without more of a foundation from this witness.
Thank you, Your Honor. So, is it possible for me, as I'm sitting here talking, based upon your knowledge, to leave touch DNA on this podium?
Same.
Yeah, thank you, Your Honor. Are you familiar with the process by which a person can leave touch DNA on the surface?
Yes, I commonly defer to biological material because that is what my expertise is in. Skin cells can be transferred to an item, and skin cells can potentially provide DNA.
So, do hands, palms of hands, produce skin cells?
Yes, they are made of skin cells,
and
correct.
If a hand is on, for example, a podium, can there be a transfer of skin cells to the podium?
Yes, there can be.
And therefore, can the hands on a podium that have skin cells transfer DNA?
Yes, again, I'm not a DNA expert, but generally that would be the source, would be skin cells. Could be, yes.
You also indicated that you collected apparent glass from the rear bumper of the Lexus, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
And you use the term apparent glass, as I understand forensic science, because at the time you're not really sure what it is, right? So you use the word apparent glass, and you can't take away the apparent until there's a confirmation that it is glass, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
And on your direct examination, you went through a discussion, so I'm going to shortcut it a little bit, about apparent glass that you located on the rear bumper of the vehicle, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Your Honor, with your permission, can we publish Exhibit 141, which is in evidence?
Yes.
Thank you. Mr. Wolf? Ms. Hartnett, I'm showing you what is Exhibit 141 in evidence, and I know you know this, and I know it's been discussed. Could you just give a brief summary of what is depicted in Exhibit 141?
This is a close-up of the right rear area of the bumper where I noted the pieces of apparent glass.
And you remember discussing this on your direct examination?
Yes.
Now, I just want to cover some basics with regard that weren't covered on the direct examination. You're a specially trained person, and that's how you get your forensic scientist 2 title, correct?
Yes, it means that I've gone through all the training within the lab.
And all that training and all of those procedures are important and necessary because the collection of evidence is important, correct?
That is one of the reasons, correct?
And if those protocols aren't followed, then that can lead to incorrect conclusions, correct?
Depending on what portion of the protocol isn't followed, but yes, it's possible.
Certainly, at a minimum, it increases the risk for an incorrect conclusion or observation, correct?
Again, it depends on what part of the protocol isn't followed, but it's possible.
So, I assume it's therefore important to you that the protocols are followed so that the best result and the best collection and therefore the best analysis occurs, correct?
I make every effort to follow the protocols.
Is the quantity of the material you observe and collect also relevant, perhaps not to you, but to other persons in the investigation?
Yes, it can be.
And therefore, it's important not only to get the type of material correct, but to get the quantity correct.
In some instances, yes.
And with regard to your work on this vehicle on February 1st, do you recall discussing the collection, the observations you made with regard to the rear bumper?
Did I discuss? I'm sorry, can you ask that question again, please?
On direct examination, you talked about glass on the rear bumper, correct?
Yes, apparent glass.
You talked about what you observed, you talked about what you put a sticker on, you talked about what you collected, you talked about the transport of it, correct?
That is correct.
And you put it in your notes, and you talked about it on direct examination, I assume because it was an important part of the work that you did.
Yes, it was a piece of evidence that I collected, correct.
And therefore, it's important for you to have made correct observations and to make correct collection, correct?
Correct.
With Your Honor's permission, if we could publish Exhibit 133. Okay. If I could have a moment with Mr. Woke just to do this efficiently, Your Honor. Thank you.
What the Commonwealth is trying to show is that potentially the glass, if held in his right hand, impacted the car right by below the rear window and shattered there. and that his elbow hit the taillight, the glass shards landed on the bumper, and that his head hit the car and left a hair on it?
Mr. With Your Honor's permission, if Mr. Wolk, you could zoom in on
Get nice and tight.
the stickers, right? So, Ms. Hartnett, on your direct examination, you stated that there were 2 stickers and that there were therefore glass associated with each sticker, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
So, 2 stickers and glass associated with each sticker, correct?
Yes, correct.
That's what he just said.
In fact, there's only 1 sticker, and the second sticker is merely a reflection of the first sticker, and therefore, you have doubled the stickers and you've doubled the amount of glass on the bumper. Can you see that? Can you determine that from the photo?
No, can I see the other photo, please?
Yes.
Okay.
So if we could, Your Honor, with your permission, go to Exhibit 133.
Okay.
Oops. Oops. It's hard to see, but there is a sticker down there at the bottom. And we see a reflection of the taillight on the top. Uh-oh.
You asked to see this one. Can you now make a determination, having seen both of them, whether there is in fact just 1 sticker and therefore 1 volume of glass associated with it?
No, I cannot. You're saying this is a reflection?
I can't testify,
Okay.
so I'm asking you.
Look at your report. What's the letter for the sticker?
With Your Honor's permission, if we could go back to the other picture,
Okay.
and you could zoom in.
There it is.
You see a reverse B in that picture?
I'm sorry, I didn't get that.
I'm sorry, a reverse B as in Bob?
It's in boy. It's in Bravo. It's in bowl. Bowl.
No, could you zoom in on each of the stickers for me, please?
We'll do whatever you would like to do to answer the question. So
Sure. Okay.
Because I can.
And then if I could just see the other sticker, please.
Absolutely.
Yes, I believe that is a reverse B, correct?
And doesn't that mean that it's a mere reflection and that there's only 1 sticker that you put on, and therefore only 1 volume of glass associated with 1 sticker?
Can you say that question again? I can't hear you too well.
I'm sorry, I will stay by the microphone. Is this microphone
That's
picking up? So therefore, can you now conclude, because of the reflection and because of the reverse B, that there is only, in actuality, and there was only in actuality, 1 sticker and 1 B, and therefore 1 volume of glass associated with this bumper?
I don't know specifically that it's a reflection. It's not unusual for me to use the same letter on a sticker if I'm going to collect the items of evidence together. So if I had written it, on top or on the bottom of the scale on one of them and on the top of the scale on the other one, that is a possibility. It's difficult for me to tell by this picture. What I can tell you is that all the items of glass or apparent glass that were present on the bumper were collected together. So I can't say specifically by looking at this photo whether I just label 2 separate areas to make the photo show the pieces better or if it is a reflection. I can't say.
So from what we just went through, you're not able to tell that that is a reflection and therefore a duplication. Is that correct? Yes.
Sustained.
Do you have any doubt whether there is a reflection on the photo that is on the screen at this moment? Do you have any doubt?
Oh, I would say it could be a possibility, yes.
Right. So you have doubt.
Sustained.
So you believe it's a possibility?
Yes, correct.
Is it more than a possibility?
Yes. Sustained.
Is it a probability?
You would agree that it's important to have the accurate answer to that question, correct?
I think that, yes, obviously understanding and knowing exactly what I'm looking at is important, but it would not change what I would have collected and how I would have labeled it.
So, with regard to what others might do and conclude from that, it could be important to them, correct? Let's go to we can go back to the none of these pieces of apparent glass were embedded in the bumper, correct?
No, they were resting on the bumper.
So by not being embedded and just resting on the bumper, you therefore did not make a notation that they were embedded in your notes. You just put that they were on the bumper, correct?
That's correct.
And sort of as we're elaborating here, you're elaborating, they were just, as your words, they were just resting on the bumper.
Correct.
If we could, if I may confer with Mr. Wolk on the video. Thank you.
I'm going to show you these stickers here when we've got a minute. If we get a break, which we're sort of due for a break about right now. We'll see if we can do a side-by-side comparison.
Thank you for that opportunity, Your Honor. If we could go to Exhibit 124, Mr. Wolk, and with Your Honor's permission, if we could publish it. Ms. Hartnett, there had been various weather before February 1st in the area. Is that correct? You testified to that somewhat on direct examination.
Yes, that's correct.
And are you able to discern from what is on the screen now that there is some type of precipitation that is on the back window of the lift gate of the vehicle?
Yes.
And is that consistent with what you observed when you were in the Sally Port on February 1st?
I don't believe I observed the precipitation on the back of the vehicle by the time I arrived.
But does this refresh your recollection as to whether there was, in fact, that precipitation on the vehicle at that time?
Can you ask it differently so you need it clearer?
Yes. Do you recall when you were at the Sally Port on February 1st any precipitation on the rear window of the liftgate of the SUV?
No, I do not recall.
And does this depiction refresh your recollection on that point?
I'll allow that. Does it?
No, I don't recall seeing any precipitation on the vehicle, and I don't know when that photo was taken, so that does not refresh my memory of that instance.
Is there a date of January 29th, 2022 on that photo? And we can enlarge it if that would help. And again, this is in evidence. Do you see what is at the bottom of the photo?
I do.
Now if we could play, with Your Honor's permission, this video. And if we could stop it at certain points, Mr. Wolk, that would be helpful. May we, Your Honor?
Okay.
Thank you.
It's melting, melting. Oh, there it goes. Oh, it's melting, it's melting. It's wiping all that hair off.
If you could wait, Mr. Wolk, until the sirens pass. Mr. Wolk, if you can go back just and wait until the sirens pass, please. Thank you. I think they've passed.
What you see here is Mother Nature scrubbing DNA off the back, DNA and hair follicles off the back of the SUV before potentially both were found there. At least the hair was found there.
If you could accelerate it just a little bit, Mr. Wolk, without overly accelerating all that's happening.
Accelerate without overly accelerating. Next time I get pulled over, I'll be like, but I wasn't overly accelerating. Snow is melting on the bumper.
And accelerate it a little bit more.
That bumper slowly losing.
And that's good.
The white stuff.
And if you could bring, yes, thank you. We could have the lights on and take that down, please. Can you describe what you just saw?
Whatever the white material was present on the back of the vehicle was falling off.
And where was it falling onto?
The ground.
Whatever it was.
And did it hit anything before the ground? For example, did it hit the bumper before it hit the ground?
I didn't take note of that.
That was on January 29th, 2022. You were at the Sally Port on February 1st, 2022, correct?
That's correct.
So, that occurs on January 29. You come to the Sally Port on February 1st, yet there is glass on the bumper on February 1st that, as you have described it, is just perched on the bumper, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Do you know generally where Dayton, Massachusetts is?
Yes.
Do you know where, and you obviously know where Canton is?
Yes.
How far away would you say Dayton is from Canton?
Time-wise, maybe 30 to 45 minutes.
And therefore, roughly, if someone were to go the speed limit, around 30 minutes away?
Sure.
Not holding you to any exact time, just generally. Your notes indicate that the vehicle was recovered from Dayton, the one we've been talking about, the Lexus, and towed back to Canton and placed in the Sally Port garage at the Canton PD before you started your examination, correct?
That's correct.
And you were made aware before your inspection or examination on February 1st of 2022 that the alleged incident in this case took place in Canton, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
So you knew you were looking at this vehicle, when you were looking at this vehicle and doing your examination, that the vehicle, by definition, as to what we had just covered, went from Canton to Dighton and then towed back from Dighton back to Canton, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
So it ends up back in Canton after that journey, correct?
Yes, that's where I examined it, correct.
So, as I understand your notes, the glass pieces that were just perched on the bumper would have traveled about 60 miles before you saw them?
Is that what you're saying?
No.
Well, when do you believe the glass appeared on the bumper, if you know?
I don't know when the apparent glass appeared on the bumper.
So you believe it's possible that the apparent glass appeared on the bumper after January 29, 2022?
Yes. Sustained.
Do you know the weather conditions that were in the area? We talked about it earlier, you talked about it on direct. In the general time of January 29th of 2022?
Yes, I do.
Do you know when the vehicle took its journey that we talked about, Canton, Dighton, back to Canton? Do you know what day that occurred?
No, I do not.
Would it have, let's assume it was on January 29th, okay?
Yes, okay.
For purposes of my questioning. Do you know what the weather was, including wind speed, on January 29th?
And ground hardness.
No, I do not. I know general weather conditions. Sorry.
You knew generally, but not specifically, correct?
Correct.
Your Honor, with the court's permission, I'd like to publish Exhibit 60 in evidence.
Okay.
Ooh, the weather report. Snow.
And if you could go through to the top, Mr. Woke, of the title first. If you could go before that to the very, very top title in the center, so Ms. Hartnett can see what the, okay. And then if you could now go down to the part of the document that would show the date, and then go from left to right for Ms. Hartnett, please, and the jury. And show which column go up above what the 29 relates to.
It's like, what? Can only do so much. Dates.
And if you now then can proceed to the yellow line and go over to and hit the relevant categories. Thank you. So we have a 15.7. If you could now go up vertically as to what that number relates to.
We just need a bigger TV.
And can you highlight what it relates to? And if you could now go down to and go up above 1, just above the average, is to yellow highlight what's above the column up above
Come on,
average.
Mr. Woke, get it together.
Yes. Okay, if you now can go down to the respective columns at the bottom for January 29th. Do you see those two numbers, Ms. Hartnett?
Yes.
Does that refresh your recollection at all about the average wind speed and gusts of wind that were occurring on January 29th of 2022?
I have no firsthand knowledge of what the wind speed specifically was in those dates.
So if we could go back to Mr. Woke, the exhibit with regard to glass on the bumper of the vehicle that...
Here. You can use mine. This one's
So this
mine.
is these are your observations on February 1st.
This is the one they're using.
And we've talked about the journey that the vehicle went on. You talked generally about the weather.
So,
Objection. It's cross, says Alessi.
try and ask a question without too much.
I understand. Understood, Your Honor. Thank you.
See the glass pieces? They're a lot easier to see here. There are two glass pieces, particularly one
In
larger
your
than the other.
experience as a forensic scientist, too, is it possible for glass that is perched on a bumper to travel 60 miles and be subject to average wind speeds of 15.7 and still remain on the bumper? Objection.
So it's sustained without a proper foundation.
Understood. Have you ever had experience with analyzing glass on any surface, an outdoor surface, and correlating that glass to weather conditions to make a determination as to the likelihood that glass could be or not be in a certain place on a certain date and time? Have you ever done that?
No.
Based upon what you know about this case, just based upon what you know, and from your role as a forensic scientist too only, do you believe that information would be relevant to your role as a forensic scientist too?
Sustained.
How did you recover the glass? What tool did you use to recover the glass on the bumper?
Tweezers.
How difficult or easy was it for you to take the glass off that bumper with, did you say tweezers?
Yes, that's correct.
How hard or easy was it for you to remove those pieces of glass with tweezers?
It was not difficult.
So it was easy.
Yes, correct.
The glass was not embedded in the bumper.
You can take that down, Mr. Wolf. Thank you. Moving on to another category, Ms. Hartnett. You testified on direct examination that you located an apparent hair on the rear right quarter panel of the vehicle, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
And again, we say apparent hair for the reasons we've discussed. You didn't know at the time, so you use the word apparent, and you don't take away the apparent until testing confirms it's hair, correct?
Correct.
So the apparent hair was not sitting on the horizontal bumper, but it was on a vertical portion of the panel. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
And that's the quarter panel, right?
Yes.
And that's a smooth surface, right?
Yes.
Apparent hair is different from heir apparent.
That hair wasn't secured to that panel, was it?
No.
It, in fact, wasn't secured in any way on that quarter panel, correct?
That's correct.
It wasn't taped?
No.
It wasn't glued? It wasn't stapled?
No.
It was not affixed in any way whatsoever?
No, it was not.
No Gorilla Grip? Nothing?
You found this apparent hair at the same time you found the glass pieces on the bumper, correct?
In the same general time, yes, that's correct.
When you say same general time, it was just one day you were there, correct?
Yes.
The range of time wasn't that broad, was it, correct?
No, it was not correct.
What was the range of time between finding one versus the other?
I don't know specifically. I was there for approximately 2 hours, so within that time period.
So within just 2 hours, you found the pieces of glass and the apparent hair, and within that time, you did your examination, you made your notes, all of that done within just 2 hours.
Yes, that's correct.
You remember the journey we talked about of the vehicle that you spoke about with regard to Canton, Dighton, Canton? You recall that?
Yes, I do.
So do you know whether, do you have any knowledge whether that hair was part of that journey? Do you have any knowledge?
I do not.
Do you know when the hair was deposited on the vehicle?
No.
The hair is well traveled.
Was it easy or hard to take off the apparent hair from that quarter panel?
It was easy. Again, I picked it up with a pair of tweezers.
Didn't give you any resistance?
No.
Didn't say stop picking on
With
me.
your Honor's permission, I would like us to look at a depiction of the hair. May I, Your Honor?
What exhibit number?
It is, I believe we're going to start with 144B.
Okay.
And if you could zoom in, please, Mr. Wolk, for the jury and for Ms. Hartnett. Do you still have a laser pointer, Ms. Hartnett?
Yes, sir.
Could you kindly use that and draw a circle around the apparent hair?
Yes.
Here's what she's doing right now. Ready?
Thank you.
She's going to take the laser pointer.
I'm going to
shine
refer
it
to
right in
that
her eye.
as a J shape. Is that a fair description of it, or do you have a better description of it?
I see two ends of the hair in an arch, so I'm going to say more of like a C shape.
Okay, so you would refer to that as a C shape?
Correct.
And would that be a reverse C? Then if it's a C shape?
In that picture, it's difficult to tell if the ends are making contact or if they're coming off the vehicle, so I'm not sure.
Whatever way you would describe it, a letter or shape, because then what I'm going to do, it's not a trick here, but
Yeah.
I'm just going to show you another picture of it, of that hair that might be in a different location or different shape. So I want to give a contrast. So whatever term you want to use that's fair to you.
So I think it looks like a C. I can't say, it could also be like a U. I'm not sure which way the ends are facing from this perspective.
Can you once again, just so we're clear and the jury's clear, just draw a circle around it again, what
Sure.
you're talking about, and we won't give it a name,
Okay.
right? We'll just do the contrast. Right.
Okay.
So if I were to just say there looks like there might be a little hook at the top and then there's a vertical line, is that a fair description?
Yes.
Okay, so can we go with that? A little hook at the top and then a straight, or a line, that vertical line that comes down?
Sure.
And
yes.
that hook is orienting left, correct? Of the vertical line? It's to the left of the vertical line?
Yes, I do see it from this perspective to the left. That's
okay,
correct.
very good. And that's the apparent hair?
Yes.
And you only saw or found one apparent hair, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
All right, if we could, Mr. Wolk, now go to Exhibit 144A. And if you could zoom in on that for Ms. Hartnett and the jury's benefit. Could you draw a circle now around the apparent hair? Thank you. And isn't that apparent hair now oriented almost 180 degrees the opposite, with the hook orienting right?
The photo's taken from a different angle, so do you see the hook? Are you talking about the hook at the top? Looks now, it appears to be on the right, but I can't, they're taken from different angles, sure.
How do you know they were taken from different angles? Did you take the picture?
No.
Are you speculating that it's taken from a different angle?
I mean, I'd have to see them side by side, but it's just the orientation of the, my marking Can you put them up side by side?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Would be helpful to you answering questions? Happy to do it.
Potentially, yes. Thank you.
Mr. Wolf?
All right, Mr. Woke, work your magic side by side. I can do it, but it's clearly different angle. Clearly different angle.
Maybe we could zoom in if possible for each one so we get it. Would that be helpful? We zoom and get the side by side of the
I mean, even from the overalls, I can tell that they're taking.
Let's start with the overall first that you would like, and then we can. Okay.
Good job, Mr. Woke.
Where you wanted to start?
Yes, just by looking at those, to me, it looks like one is from slightly to the side of the vehicle and one is more directly head on.
Right, so one's slightly to the side and the other's a little bit more head on, but that's the only difference, correct? It's
Yes.
still the same from top to bottom. It's still the same from side to side. It's the same orientation, correct?
The vehicle didn't move, but the camera angle is different in both pictures. That's what I was saying in the other one. So the camera angle is different. One is the one camera angle appears for who's ever taken the photo to be standing off to the right of the vehicle. The second photo looks like it's more directly head on.
The 570 is oriented the same way in both pictures, correct? You see the 570?
Yes. Yes.
On the left, and you see the 570 on the right, correct?
Yes, I do.
There's same orientation, right?
They're in the same location on the vehicle, but I don't think they're at the same orientation. I think one looks.
If you could, I want to make sure you finish, but if you could just, my questions are rather narrow.
Okay.
And then if you need more time to answer them, I'm happy to do that.
So let's just ask a question.
Yes, thank you, Your Honor. So, isn't the 570 in each picture oriented the exact same way?
If you could just explain what you mean by oriented, I think that's where I'm confused.
They're the same. You can read the 570 horizontally. It's the same horizontal plane, correct? It's the same straight across, like one doesn't have the 570 upside down. You can read it from left to right, a 5, a 7, and a 0, correct?
Correct.
Thank you. Now, if we can, Mr. Woke, now zoom in.
Judge has about had enough of this.
And get the largest depiction of each one from a zoom in.
So, the first one looks like the ends are touching the car.
Are you saying the difference in how that hair appears is from a different camera angle?
No, I'm not making that conclusion. I'm just saying I can't make any other conclusion because they are from different angles. I don't feel that I can compare the two.
Is it possible that the hair moved when someone took a photograph?
Can you answer that question?
Again, I just can't make that conclusion because I didn't take the photo and the photos look like they're from different angles.
In your experience, you've taken samples many times of apparent hair, correct?
Have I taken samples
Yes.
such as that? Yes, that's correct.
Has it ever happened that when you're taking a sample, the photographer or someone breathes on it and the apparent hair moves? Does that ever happen?
I'll allow that.
I've never had firsthand experience with that, so that if somebody breathes on an item of evidence, that would be something I would note.
Other than, and is it correct that you're speculating as to what could be causing this difference? Are you speculating?
Sustained. I'd like to see counsel at sidebar for a couple of minutes, please.
I'm not sure if the judge wants to move along from this. She does not like, everyone has to turn in all their badges for the day. You see that? The bailiffs are collecting all the reporters' badges. I'm not sure if we're ready just to move on or if she wants to she's looking at the clock saying, hey, last time we were late. We were 10 minutes over last night. I'm not going to do that again.
Counsel wanted to see me at sidebar.
Counsel wants to see me at sidebar. What Mr. Alessi is getting at is the picture that he showed looks to be, hang on one second, let's go to the end. Okay, if we show this really quickly, it looks on the picture on the left, it looks like the hair may have the two ends, meaning the follicle end and the free end touching the car with an arc, sort of like a solar flare going up off the surface of the car and free float in the air. The other picture looks like it's moved. And so what I want to do is look at the water spots behind it. Okay, look at the water spots behind it. Look at the points on the end where they seem to be connected to something. It seems unreasonable to believe or to conclude that the hair was stuck to the car by something in the center portion of the hair. Right, the hair follicle actually has a little bit of a sticky. Look, I can do a little example. Let me rip out one of my hard-earned hairs. Look at that. I just ripped that out. And the hair follicle, I can stick to my finger, and it can. I dropped it, but it can stick. It's that's the end that's most likely to stick to something. The root. Sorry, I keep saying root. Now I have to pull another one because I dropped that one. So I'm going to be bald by the end of this experiment. Let's not do it from. Oh wait, I dropped it right here on the mic. Here it is. It's stuck there. I got it. Got it here. Can you guys see this? Probably can't. Let's go full screen. We're still listening to court. We're not going to miss anything. And turn on the macro. Okay, I've got a tiny, tiny little hair follicle here. Or a little hair. There it is. You can see the hair. It's on this finger. Down at the bottom, the root is visible. I'm going to see the fan is blowing it all over the place. I'm going to go back to court. Hang on. We'll do this later. I'll pull my hair out later for you guys.
Mr. Wolf, Your Honor, with the court's permission.
Sure, you can put it back up on the screen.
Thank you.
Ooh, she doesn't like it. She's mad. Might need to have it implanted again. I'm losing my hair fast enough. Should save the ones I have.
Thank you for your patience, Ms. Hartnett. Do you have any explanation that you're certain of with regard to those two depictions?
Regarding what, sir? I'm sorry.
The two depictions that are up on the screen.
Do I have any explanation of what?
Of those two depictions that you're certain of.
Those are both a depiction of the same apparent hair that I collected from the vehicle.
Thank you.
All right, so turn on the lights, please. Jurors, I'm told with counsel this is a good place to break. So we're going to break for today. Please, those same cautions, do not discuss this case with anyone. Do not do any independent research or investigation into the case. If you happen to see, hear, or read anything about the case, please disregard it and let us know. Please be very careful with your social media.
We shall punish you accordingly.
Ms. Hartnett, we need you back tomorrow as well.
Okay, thank you.
So you can walk out at the end of the case. Yes,
please follow me. Please rise to the jury.
All right, we're gonna keep listening to court to see if something happens, but I'm gonna grab another hair. Maybe if I pull one of the white ones, it'll be better. This a white one?
Yes. Can I see counsel at sidebar while the jury's filing out, please?
Okay. I'm gonna have a bald spot. Let's see. How about this guy right here? No. I'm on the big screen. Oh, that's a good one. That's a good one. Yeah. Okay, we've got. Oh, I got two there. That's never coming back. I got two. All right, here we go. We have hair follicle. I'm going to need to turn off that fan. I'm holding it up to the fan. Can you see this? You can see in the very center on this hand right here below my pointer finger, the hair follicle attachment. See how it sticks to my hand? See how it just touches and it sticks? The hair follicle is sort of it's like that. It's like a root. It wants to plant, right? It wants to stay there. It would make sense to me if the root of the hair was stuck to the car and then it sort of was flying around freely. But the way the picture's presented, it looks like the side or the middle of the hair was stuck to the car and then the root was flying freely, as was a split end. The split end was on the other end. Which doesn't make sense, especially if you've got a whole hurricane happening outside, blizzard, and snow sliding off the car. How does it stay there? And where they show this picture side by side, look at the watermarks. Okay, the watermarks are on the surface of the car. These are salt marks on the car. And look at any portion of the hair and say, where was it attached? Are the ends pointing towards me? Are the ends pointing to the car? Is it laying sideways? It's moved. It's moved. The hair is moved. I don't know what else you can get from that. All right. Why does it matter? It could have been on there anytime. Well, we saw with the snow melting and sliding off that part of the car, sliding down that side of the car, the hair would have had to stay on during that. Just the snow would have had to sort of go up and over, and it would just be gripping the car, the smooth quarter panel, as the snow slid down, which doesn't make sense. It doesn't stand to reason. But now this hair placed on the quarter panel, I say placed on the quarter panel, and I say that intentionally, after the snow has melted and slid off, that could be an indication of here's a point where his head may have struck the vehicle. And that would be great evidence if we didn't have that snow video sliding down that same part. The hair is not attached to the car. It was not embedded in the paint. It was not like stuck in the crack between the window and the seal of the tailgate. It was just resting on the car. And it did so for 60 miles of round trip on the back of a flatbed in a blizzard. That's the problem. All right. The hair is attached to the water spot in the center of the hair. Some water spot, both pictures. I can see that. I can see that the droplet part of the water, the big droplet behind the hair, is the bottom of the U is crossed by the hair at the same point. So that would stand to reason that that's where it's attached. But then if the hair has moved from one photograph to the other, how did the hair stay on when the snow slid down there? And, freeway speeds 60 miles an hour as well. The one little hair follicle, the root, just holding tight. Look at the bottom left of each picture, blow it up. Look at the bottom left. Not sure what you mean by that on the text message. Bottom right. Look at the bottom right of both pictures. Okay, if you look at I think I can use my mouse on this, right? Let me use a mouse. There we go. Can you see this? Okay, mouse is on the screen. See this mark right here? This mark right here that I'm circling with my mouse. Wish the mouse was bigger. This mark is this mark. There is a rotational difference. There is an angle difference. We have a couple things that are showing up better because of the angle and the way the light catches them. So we have two marks right here, two little dots, a brighter dot and a dimmer dot. Those are right here, brighter dot, dimmer dot. One off to the right, a little lower, one off to the right, a little lower. It's the same car. The marks are the same, the watermarks are the same. But let's see what else. I wanted to show you something else on this. We had, let's go to the timeline. This was sort of funny. She grabs the laser. We can see the beam, the laser beam comes out the end that's closest to us. She takes it. She gets ready. She turns it on. Boom. This is right in her face. It's just like, look how much light there is reflected. And the whole witness stand is like illuminated by that laser. And she puts her hand up in front of it to see where's the dot. Where's the dot? It's not working. But this is the other thing I wanted to look at and show you this. I've got my mouse on this one as well. If we start on the top left, this image, there is a bee right here, and it's sort of difficult to see on the screen I'm watching on. So hopefully it works a little bit better for you. Okay, let's go right here. The mouse cursor that's moving is not mine. So my mouse cursor is on the top little icon, label. If you were to draw a line from where the mouse cursor is down towards this right here, and then make 2 bumps, there's a B, backwards B. The same thing exists over here, and I'm hoping your view is as good as my other monitor, because depending on where you're at, people, it's going to look like this. There's a line down right here and a B right there. So this is, it's a mirror image of these two things back and forth. We have a reflection. We can see a reflection right here reflecting back what is down here. This is the real bumper. This is the reflection. So the darker part is the car, the black paint, and this sort of whiter part is the plastic of the tread on the bumper in the image. So that's where it's showing up. I don't know why she would not admit that. Obviously, it was a screw up on her part, and maybe that's it. But clearly, that is definitely an inverted label. Let's see. New Discord. Oh, by the way, yes, there is a new Discord link. Please, please, please put the new Discord link up for us mods. We're trying to get that fixed. If you have it in your heart to support Discord, Discord is not free. Okay, let's put it that way. There are costs associated with having a Discord server. They have massive amounts of data out there on Discord, and there we go. That's not the right one. Hang on. That link is not working right now. Let's see. I need the other link if Sharon. Sorry, I said Sharon. Wish we still had Sharon with us. Amber, can you, if you have that link, you can post it. That would be good. Anyway, Discord it survives by the generous donations of people like you. So if you go to Discord and you like what you see, if you like hanging out with people, talking to people, getting the notifications that it provides, usually better than YouTube, accessing court documents, checking calendars, doing all those things, looking at what everyone else in the world of LawTube and television land has said about certain cases, please go over there. There's the new one. There's the new link. Thanks, Josh, for that one. That link will get you, or maybe this one will. Let's do Amber's. Amber's link will get you over there. If you do like it over there, there's an option to boost the channel. There's an option to boost it. And this is not my Discord. We're closely associated with As the Gavel Drops, but I don't own it. I don't run it. I don't even have mod privileges over there. Okay, I'm just like y'all. But if you find it useful, boosting the channel over there will give them the ability to do things like have a permanent link that will always work instead of a temporary one, as well as do voice chat and host all the data that we want from all of our stuff. Amber, are you on the phone with us?
Hello.
Amber, nice of you to show up to work
today.
How was work?
It was a day.
Yeah.
So because I just happened to pull into my driveway, and we were talking about Discord, yes, we usually have a permalinks, and Scott, please do not update the Discord link in the command. Don't update it. We will get the permalink back once we have enough boosts. So don't update the link.
You basically need like 6 more boosts, right?
Correct. So instead of sending it's essentially like a membership, I guess you could put it. There's like a premium account type to Discord called Nitro. That's not required to boost, from what I understand. However, why does boosting matter? Boosting gives us the additional space to provide more documents and be able to load larger document files. So a lot of these filings that are 50 plus pages, 100 plus pages, those file types can't be uploaded in one shot if we aren't fully boosted. So that's part of the reason why boosting matters, is file size. It does give us the option to be able to host larger events to allow more than just 50 people join an event.
And do watch parties and, all those fun things.
Right. We do all sorts of things up there, granted, with the new restructuring and under new ownership recently. We're not quite there to events yet. We'll get back there to scheduling those once we get everything else settled. However, I saw a comment in chat, which is what prompted me to call. Somebody made a comment about the notifications, saying if you have Discord notifications on, it's going to drive you insane. And they are absolutely 100% correct. However, comma, appropriately used, comma, there is a way to turn off Discord notifications or to tailor them to only certain cases or only mentions of your name. So there are ways to tailor those things, and the mod team is more than willing to help you figure that out. Something that we do as far as stages goes is doing that that training in a one-on-one setting. So for those of you that have been with us for a long time, if you think back eons ago, when I was on the phone with Scott doing a screen share presentation of Discord and showing how to do things. That's what we do in those events.
I failed that class.
Yeah, he completely flunks that class no matter how many times he takes it.
Discord is a challenge. I will admit that. But if you love data, if you love digging deep into a case and saying, I want to hear everything. What did someone else say about this? Where can I find that document? What's the actual calendar date? What's the next hearing coming up for this? If you like that stuff, Discord is
and having
worth
a chat,
it. So
having a chat available 24/7 when we're not streaming.
Yeah.
And you can talk about all sorts of things, cases, not cases, recipes, pets. It doesn't matter. It's a great hangout place to be once you figure it out. And if you need help figuring it out, we're more than happy to do that with you, either one-on-one or in a group setting. But let me get back into the house because I just finally unlocked the door and my kid's coming to see me. So I'll talk to you guys later.
All right. See you, Amber.
Bye.
Bye. All right. That was it. They're doing some great work over there on the Discord, getting things streamlined and squared up correctly over there. So if you find it in your heart to boost the channel over there on Discord, they would very much appreciate it. 6 more would bring back the permalink. Obviously, there's more communities than our own that support that. So don't feel pressure if you're not able to do that right now. That burden can be shared around a little bit. We do have testimony notes. I think, Josh, thanks for these. I did go over. Holy cow! Who did this? Well, Grant Ellis, who I believe was in the courtroom, took notes of the niece of John O'Keefe. And he's got like 6 pages of notes on that. I don't think there's a ton there. I think we got the highlights already, so we're not going to cover that. There's not a new Discord. It's just a new link right now. The old link will be working here in a little bit. But Dave, I never found that video. Metal detection, young boy, Canada, major find. Is it gold? Is it gold? It must be gold. All right. Can you go back and show the boom moment when Bob got the sticker? Alessi, I can show you this. The sticker side by side. It is clearly a mirror image. If by nothing else you can look at the size of the sticker and know that in one of them it's a reflection and shown shorter than the other. The stickers are all the same size. The stickers are all, they don't have like, well, I'll just tear off a bit of sticker and tape and that'll count. They're all the same size. So clearly the one on the bumper is it's a reflection. It all matches up perfectly. It just is what it is. And what a moment. This is almost equivalent to the inverted Sallyport picture. Got elongated, stretched out. Yes. It was a shipwreck. Holy cow. Metal detecting found the shipwreck in Canada? It's crazy. All right. They love to invert things. All right, I think that's all. I was telling you earlier that the family's looking on doing a little trip. We're probably going on a little, I guess you could call it a vacation, just over the 3-day weekend. We've got Memorial Day coming up, right? I think that's it. I'm going to try to do a test run to see if Starlink can support it. Because if Starlink can't support it, then basically the family drives and I fly. So I can live stream and then be done and fly out, join them, and then fly back and be live stream and then they drive. So that's the plan. But we're going to try. We tried Starlink to solve your food line issues. No, I haven't found the shopping cart Starlink mount adapter yet. But court is done for the day now. We are completed. Everything is over as far as that's concerned. All right. Let's see. Brandy's stream heard Bev's hot mic moment too. It sure sounded like she called Yannetti an a-hole. That's what it sounded like. It sounded like that to me. All right, if you missed that moment, that was a big one today as well. All right, so that's everything for today. We're gonna come back tomorrow with more of this. We're obviously following this trial to the conclusion, whatever that may be. And we'll be back again tomorrow. I'm going to do some live streaming. Might even be public, so you might be able to just weigh in. If you see a notification from me tonight, just know it's nothing urgent. There's not a police chase. Well, hopefully there's not a police chase going on because I'll be in the car. But we're gonna figure this out. We're gonna take the time off. If it doesn't work for Memorial Day, we'll take it another time. But I've got all the hardware. Why not live stream? Well, Mrs. R.A. drives and I can watch court. This would be great. Tonight when you go home, please hug the people you love. Smile at someone, make their day just a little bit better. And please stay safe till we go live again tomorrow morning, and maybe a little bit tonight. But that will just be for fun. Spoiler alert, the police will be chasing you. I'm going to be in the passenger seat. So I'm going to be like, hey, it wasn't me. It wasn't me. All right. That's everything for today. Thank you, everyone. Thanks for the wonderful mods. Thanks to all the likes. We got so many likes today. 818. Just shy of the 1,000 we wanted by about 160, 158 roughly. But we got well over 1,000 the first time, so thank you very much. All in all, I think we got about 2,000 likes, so that's great. That's everything. I'm going to go back to eating some salsa because it's almost gone. The kids are eating it now. They like it now. Hear ye. Right. All right, you guys have a good night. We will see you in the morning. Be good to each other. Bye-bye.
Shame on you, sir.
Thank you, sir. You're my new best friend.
Because he's the guy.